The antiseptic smell of Riverside General Hospital had become as familiar to Judith Coleman as her own perfume. 3 weeks of sitting in the same vinyl chair, holding the same unresponsive hand, praying the same desperate prayers. Today, October 15th, should have been different. Today, Thomas opened his eyes. "He's awake! Dr. Morrison, he's awake!" The young nurse's excitement pierced through Judith's exhausted doze. She jerked upright, her stiff neck protesting after another night in the uncomfortable chair. Her heart hammered as she leaned over Thomas's bed, watching his eyelids flutter. "Thomas? Honey, can you hear me?" Judith's voice cracked with emotion. 33 years of marriage, 2 children, countless shared memories, all leading to this moment of relief. She squeezed his hand, feeling tears stream down her cheeks. "Oh, thank God. Thank God you're back." Thomas's eyes opened fully, unfocused at first, then slowly scanning the room. When his gaze landed on Judith, she expected recognition, maybe confusion, certainly some acknowledgement. Instead, his forehead creased with bewilderment. He pulled his hand away from hers, not violently, but with the casual dismissal one might give a stranger. "Who are you?" His voice was hoarse from the ventilator, but the words were clear enough to slice through Judith's chest. Dr. Morrison entered, his white coat rustling with authority. "Mr. Coleman, you've been in an accident." "This is perfectly normal. Some confusion after traumatic brain injury. This is your wife, Judith." Thomas shook his head slowly, wincing at the movement. No, that's not right. Where's Veronica? I need Veronica. Is she okay? The accident? Was she hurt?" Judith felt the blood drain from her face. Veronica Russo. The name she'd seen on Thomas's phone bills, the receipts she'd chosen to ignore, the late nights she'd pretended to believe. "Thomas, I'm your wife. We've been married for 33 years. Lady, I don't know what game you're playing, but..." Thomas's agitation triggered the heart monitor. His pulse spiked as he tried to sit up. "Where's my wife? Where's Ronnie?" The door opened, and as if summoned by his desperation, Veronica Russo walked in. 31 years old, glossy black hair, wearing a tight dress inappropriate for a hospital visit. She carried a teddy bear and a get-well-soon balloon, playing the role of concerned employee. The transformation in Thomas was immediate and devastating. His entire body relaxed, his face lit up with pure joy. "Baby, oh, thank God you're okay. Come here, sweetheart." Veronica froze in the doorway, her carefully rehearsed expression of professional concern crumbling. Her eyes darted between Thomas's outstretched arms and Judith's stunned face. "Mr. Coleman, Why are you calling me that?" Thomas's voice carried hurt confusion. "Honey, what's wrong? Come here, I was so worried about you." Dr. Morrison stepped forward, his professional composure barely containing his surprise. "Mr. Coleman, can you tell me who this is?" "That's my wife, Veronica. We've been together for..." Thomas paused, his brow furrowing. 4 years. 4 wonderful years. We were driving to look at that house in Riverside Heights, remember, baby? The one with the big garden you loved. Judith's legs gave out. She sank into the chair, her mind struggling to process what she was witnessing. 33 years erased. Their children, their home, their entire life together, gone from his mind like chalk wiped from a board, but 4 years with his mistress remained crystal clear. "Thomas?" Veronica's voice shook. "You're confused. Judith is your wife. I work for you." "What?" Thomas's confusion morphed into anger. "What kind of sick joke is this?" "Ronnie, why are you saying that? Did they threaten you? Did she threaten you?" He glared at Judith with suspicion and hostility. Patricia Johnson, Judith's friend and the floor's head nurse, entered just in time to witness the scene. Her eyes widened as she took in the tableau. Thomas reaching for Veronica, Judith sitting frozen in shock, and Veronica backing toward the door. "I need some air," Veronica mumbled, fleeing the room. Thomas tried to follow, but the IVs and monitors held him back. "Ronnie, don't leave me. "Nurse, stop her! That's my wife!" Dr. Morrison began rapid medical assessments, checking Thomas's pupils, asking him basic questions. "Mr. Coleman, what year is it?" 2024? "What's your full name?" "Thomas Wayne Coleman." "Where do you work?" "Coleman Plumbing. I own it." "And your wife's name?" "Veronica Russo. Well, soon to be Coleman. We're getting married next spring." Each answer was a nail in the coffin of Judith's marriage. The doctor continued his questions, and Thomas answered them all correctly, except for anything involving Judith. When shown their wedding photo from his wallet, he stared at it blankly. Their children's pictures drew no recognition. 33 years had simply vanished. Patricia guided Judith out of the room as Thomas became increasingly agitated, demanding to see his Ronnie. In the hallway, Judith finally broke down, sobbing against her friend's shoulder. "He doesn't know me, Patty. 33 years, and he doesn't know me at all." Patricia held her tight. "Honey, it's the brain injury. Memories can come back." But even as Patricia said the words, Judith heard the doubt. She'd seen the way Thomas looked at Veronica, with complete recognition, total love, absolute certainty. That wasn't confusion, that was truth. His brain, stripped of pretense by trauma, had revealed what really mattered to him. "I need to find Veronica," Judith said, pulling away and wiping her tears. She found the younger woman in the parking garage, leaning against a red Honda Civic, smoking with shaking hands. Veronica saw her coming and tried to stub out the cigarette, then gave up and took another drag. "How long?" Judith's voice was steady now, cold as the October wind whipping through the concrete structure. Veronica couldn't meet her eyes. "Mrs. Coleman, How long?" 4 years. The words came out as a whisper. "It started at the company Christmas party. I'd had too much to drink, and—" "Spare me the details." Judith studied the woman who'd stolen her husband's heart. Pretty, yes, but also tired-looking, with worry lines that belonged on someone older. "He really told you he'd marry you?" Veronica nodded miserably. "He was going to ask for a divorce. After the kids were settled, after the business loan was paid off, after, there was always an after." "But you believed him." "He loves me." Veronica lifted her chin defiantly. "I know how that sounds, but he does. You saw it in there. When everything else is gone, I'm what remains." The truth of it hit Judith like a physical blow. She wanted to slap this woman, to scream, to rage. Instead, she laughed, a bitter, broken sound that echoed off the parking garage walls. 4 years. You've had 4 years. I gave him 33. Judith stepped closer and Veronica flinched. "But here's what's going to happen now. You're going to stay away from him." "You can't. I'm his wife. Legally. I make his medical decisions. I control his finances. I decide who visits him." Judith's voice was sharp as glass. "You're nothing. You're not even a memory to anyone but him." "He'll remember eventually," the doctor said. "Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. But right now, in this moment, he only remembers you. How does it feel, being the only keeper of your great love story? Because from where I'm standing, you look pretty alone." Veronica's composure finally cracked. Tears ran down her face, leaving mascara tracks. "This isn't fair." "Fair?" Judith laughed again. "You want to talk about fair? I'll tell you what's not fair. Spending 33 years raising his children, managing his home, supporting his business, only to be erased from his mind while his whore remains. That's not fair." She turned to leave, then paused. "But you're right about one thing. He does love you. It's the only thing left in his broken brain. So congratulations, Veronica. You won." Back in the hospital, Judith found Dr. Morrison in his office. He looked up from Thomas's brain scans, his expression professionally neutral. "Mrs. Coleman, I've been reviewing your husband's case. The selective memory loss is unusual, but not unprecedented. The hippocampus shows damage consistent with..." How long until he remembers me? The doctor hesitated. It's impossible to say. Memory recovery after traumatic brain injury is unpredictable. Some patients recover fully within weeks. Others, he trailed off. Others never do. The brain tends to protect the most emotionally significant memories. The fact that he remembers Miss Russo suggests their relationship held strong emotional importance for him. Stronger than 33 years of marriage. Dr. Morrison shifted uncomfortably. The brain doesn't measure time, Mrs. Coleman. It measures impact. That evening, Judith sat in her empty house, surrounded by photos of a life Thomas couldn't remember. Their wedding album lay open on the coffee table, two young people, full of hope, promising to love each other until death. She traced Thomas's young face with her finger. He'd had more hair then, fewer lines, but the same crooked smile that had made her fall in love. The doorbell interrupted her reverie. Patricia stood on the porch with a casserole dish and a bottle of wine. "I'm not hungry," Judith said. "I know, but you need to eat, and you definitely need to drink." Patricia pushed past her into the kitchen. "Have you called the kids?" "And tell them what? That their father has forgotten they exist but remembers his mistress perfectly?" Patricia poured 2 large glasses of wine. "Judith, honey, you need to think about practical matters. Power of attorney, bank accounts, the business." "I know." Judith took a long sip. "I've been thinking about it all evening. Legally, I control everything. He can't even discharge himself from the hospital without my consent." "That's good. You need to protect yourself." "Do I?" Judith stared into her wine. "Or do I need to protect him?" From her? From himself? Patricia studied her friend carefully. "Judith, what are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that my husband's brain has shown me the truth. 4 years with her matter more than 33 with me. I'm thinking that's not acceptable. You can't force him to remember you. No, but I can make him forget her. Judith, he's vulnerable right now, Patty." Confused, susceptible to suggestion. The doctor said memory recovery is unpredictable, so why can't I predict it? "Because that would be wrong." "Wrong?" Judith's laugh was sharp. "Was it wrong when he was fucking her for 4 years? Was it wrong when he was planning to leave me? Was it wrong when his brain chose to keep her and discard me like trash? 2 wrongs don't lecture me about right and wrong. I've been right for 33 years. I've been the good wife, the understanding partner, the forgiving woman. And where did that get me? Erased." Patricia reached across the table, grasping Judith's hand. "I understand you're hurt." "Hurt?" Judith pulled away. "I'm not hurt, Patty. I'm enlightened. For the first time in 33 years, I see everything clearly. Thomas showed me what I really am to him. Nothing. Less than nothing. A blank space where a wife should be." "So what are you going to do?" Judith stood, walking to the window that overlooked their backyard. The swimming pool Thomas had installed for their 25th anniversary reflected the moon. She remembered the party they'd had, friends and family gathered, Thomas making a toast to the love of his life. How many of those friends had known about Veronica? How many had pitied poor, oblivious Judith? "I'm going to become someone worth remembering," she said quietly. "If Thomas wants to forget 33 years, fine. But I'm going to make sure the time he has left is unforgettable." "Judith, you're scaring me." "Good. I've been scared for 3 weeks, wondering if he'd survive. Now I know he has, but our marriage hasn't. The Judith who would accept that, who would quietly step aside for a younger woman, who would nurse him back to health so he could run to her, that Judith died in that hospital room today. Then who are you now?" Judith turned from the window, and Patricia saw something in her friend's eyes she'd never seen before. Cold calculation mixed with burning rage. "I'm his wife, legal guardian, medical proxy, and I'm going to use every bit of that power to destroy what he loves most." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "He remembers Veronica? Good. Let him remember her abandoning him. Let him remember her betrayal. Let him remember her choosing money over love. You can't manipulate, can't I? He doesn't remember our children, but he'll remember the son Veronica supposedly lost. He doesn't remember our anniversary, but he'll remember catching Veronica with another man. He doesn't remember 33 years of my devotion, but he'll remember 4 years of her lies. That's evil. No, Patty. Evil was erasing me from his mind while keeping her. This is justice. That night, Judith sat at Thomas's desk in his home office, going through his files. She found it all: credit card statements showing jewelry purchases, hotel receipts, a lease agreement for an apartment across town. The apartment where he'd apparently been living his real life while play-acting at marriage with her. In his email, she discovered their correspondence, hundreds of messages full of promises, plans, and passion. Thomas had written things to Veronica he'd never said to Judith, not even in their early years. He'd shared dreams he'd never mentioned, fears he'd never revealed, parts of himself he'd kept hidden from his wife but freely given to his mistress. One email, dated just a week before the accident, made her stop breathing. "My darling Ronnie soon will be free. I've been moving money to the new account, just like we planned. Judith will be fine. The house is paid for, and she's always been good with money. But you and I, we deserve this chance at real happiness. I've never felt truly alive until you. These 4 years have meant more than the previous 50. You are my heart, my soul, my everything. Next month, after the Johnson contract pays out, I'll tell her. And then we begin our real life together. All my love, T." Judith printed the email, her hands steady despite the rage coursing through her veins. He'd been planning it all along. The accident had simply accelerated the timeline, accomplishing what he'd been too cowardly to do himself, erasing his inconvenient wife. She went to their bedroom, her bedroom now, and looked at herself in the mirror. 57 years old. Gray threading through brown hair she'd kept long because Thomas had once said he loved it. Lines around her eyes from years of smiling, supporting, believing. A soft body that had borne his children, aged alongside him, been faithful to him. No more, she told her reflection. The next morning, she arrived at the hospital with a new purpose. Thomas was awake, agitated, demanding to see Veronica. Dr. Morrison intercepted her in the hallway. "Mrs. Coleman, your husband is experiencing significant distress. He keeps asking for Miss Russo. Perhaps if she could visit—" "No, but his emotional state—" "Doctor, my husband is confused. He's mixing up reality with fantasy. I think it would be harmful to encourage his delusions. Mrs. Coleman, his memories of Miss Russo appear to be genuine." "Are they? Or is he constructing false memories? You said yourself that the brain is unpredictable after trauma." Dr. Morrison frowned. "While that's true, the consistency of his memories regarding Miss Russo suggests—" "Doctor, are you aware that Miss Russo has been embezzling from my husband's company?" The lie came so easily it surprised her, but she saw the doubt creep into the doctor's eyes. "I wasn't—" "We were in the process of pressing charges when the accident happened." That's why Thomas was so agitated that day. He'd discovered her theft. It's possible his brain is constructing a romantic relationship to avoid processing the trauma of her betrayal. That's highly unusual. More unusual than forgetting a 33-year marriage but remembering a 4-year affair. The doctor had no answer for that. Judith entered Thomas's room with a warm smile. He looked at her with immediate suspicion. "You again? Where's Veronica?" "Thomas, honey, there's something you need to know about Veronica." "Don't call me honey. I don't know you. I know this is confusing, but Veronica, she's not who you think she is." "What are you talking about?" Judith sat down, her face a mask of sympathy. "Thomas, Veronica was your employee. She's been stealing from the company. You discovered it last month. That's why you were so upset the day of the accident." "You're lying." Thomas tried to sit up, but the pain medication made him woozy. "Ronnie would never—" "I have the evidence. Bank statements. Forged checks. I'm sorry, Thomas. I know this is hard to hear. No, N.O., you're making this up. You're jealous. He stopped, confusion clouding his features. Why would you be jealous? I don't even know you. Because I care about you, Thomas. Even if you don't remember me, I remember you, and I don't want to see you hurt by someone who's using you. She watched doubt creep into his eyes. The seed was planted. Over the coming days, she would water it with careful lies, forged documents, manipulated evidence. She would create a new reality for Thomas, one where Veronica was the villain and Judith, the stranger who cared for him, might slowly become someone worth knowing. That afternoon, she met with Thomas's business partner, Gary Mueller, at a coffee shop downtown. Gary looked uncomfortable, shifting in his seat. Judith, I'm so sorry about everything. If there's anything I can do— You knew about her. It wasn't a question. Gary's guilty expression confirmed it. Thomas is my friend, but I didn't think it was my place. No, of course not. Male solidarity and all that. It wasn't like that. Gary, I need your help. He blinked at the sudden shift. Of course. Anything. I need you to tell Thomas that Veronica has been stealing from the company. What? But she hasn't. Hasn't she? Check the books again, Gary. Check them very carefully. You might be surprised what you find. Judith, I can't falsely accuse— You can and you will. Unless you want me to tell your wife about your own afternoon meetings at the Riverside Motel. Room 237, isn't it? Every Thursday? Gary's face went white. How did you— 33 years of being invisible has its advantages. People forget you're there. They say things, do things, leave evidence. Judith stirred her coffee calmly. So, here's what's going to happen. You're going to discover discrepancies in the books. You're going to be shocked and saddened by Veronica's betrayal. And you're going to support whatever I tell Thomas. This is blackmail. Yes, it is. And you're going to comply because you have more to lose than I do. I've already lost everything. That evening, she returned to the hospital to find Thomas sleeping fitfully, Veronica's name on his lips even in unconsciousness. She stood over his bed, studying the face she'd loved for so long. Even now, after everything, she could remember why she'd fallen for him. The strong jaw, the laugh lines, the way his hair fell across his forehead. I loved you, she whispered to his sleeping form. I loved you more than you'll ever know. But you chose to forget that love. So now I'll teach you what it feels like to have your heart erased, piece by piece. Thomas stirred, but didn't wake. Judith sat in the chair she'd occupied for 3 weeks, but this time she wasn't praying for his recovery. She was planning his destruction. 10 days had passed since Thomas woke up believing Veronica Russo was his wife. 10 days of Judith carefully orchestrating a new reality, brick by brick, lie by lie. The October rain pelted against the hospital window as she sat beside his bed, playing the role of the devoted stranger who inexplicably cared for him. The police were here again, Thomas said, his voice flat with disbelief. They're saying Ronnie stole $40,000. Judith kept her expression sympathetic, though inside she felt a savage satisfaction. The forged documents she'd planted in Veronica's desk, the manipulated bank statements Gary had discovered, it was all coming together perfectly. I'm so sorry, Thomas. I know this must be devastating. She wouldn't do this. But his voice lacked conviction. The evidence was too overwhelming, too detailed. There has to be an explanation. Maybe there is. Maybe when they find her— Find her? Thomas's head snapped up. What do you mean, find her? Judith allowed a carefully calculated pause. You didn't know? She hasn't been seen since last week. The police think she might have fled the state. It was true in a way. Veronica had disappeared after receiving an anonymous package containing photos of Thomas with another woman, photos Judith had doctored from old company parties, replacing Judith's face with that of a younger stranger. The accompanying note, supposedly from Thomas's other girlfriend, had been crude but effective. He's playing you just like he played his wife. Get out while you can. No. Thomas's hands shook. She wouldn't leave me. Not Ronnie, she loves me. Sometimes people aren't who we think they are. Stop saying that. His shout brought nurses running, but Judith waved them away. Thomas grabbed her wrist, his grip desperate. You did this. I don't know how, but you did something to her. Thomas, I've been here with you every day. How could I? I don't know who you are or what you want, but... He stopped, his face contorting in pain, not physical but emotional. Why can't I remember you? If you're really my wife, why can't I remember anything? Judith gently extracted her wrist from his grip. The doctors say it's the trauma. Your brain is protecting you from something. From what? Maybe from the truth about Veronica. She left him then, knowing the doubt would eat at him. In the hallway, she nearly collided with Patricia, who grabbed her arm and pulled her into an empty room. What did you do to that girl? I don't know what you mean. Veronica Russo. She came to my apartment last night, hysterical. She had photos, Judith. Photos that couldn't possibly be real. People doctor photos all the time these days, very convincing ones too. Patricia stared at her friend as if seeing a stranger. My God, you really did it. You destroyed that girl. That girl destroyed my marriage. Your marriage was already broken. No. Judith's voice was ice. My marriage was betrayed. There's a difference. And now Thomas gets to feel what betrayal really means. This isn't you. The Judith I know wouldn't. The Judith you knew was a fool who spent 33 years loving a man who erased her from his memory. That Judith is gone. And what's left? Before Judith could answer, her phone rang. Gary Muller's name appeared on the screen. Judith, we have a problem. Thomas's son is here. Her blood ran cold. Michael is here. He flew in from Seattle. He's at the office demanding to see the books, asking about Veronica. He doesn't believe she stole anything. Of course Michael would come. Her stepson, Thomas's child from his first marriage, had always been too smart for his own good. He'd never liked Judith, viewing her as the woman who'd replaced his mother. Stall him. I'm on my way. She found Michael in Thomas's office, papers spread across the desk, his laptop open to the company's financial software. At 35, he looked exactly like Thomas had when Judith first met him. Same strong jaw, same intense brown eyes, same stubborn set to his shoulders. Hello, Judith. He didn't look up. Want to tell me why you're framing Veronica Russo? I don't know what you're talking about. Cut the act. Michael spun his laptop around. These transactions? They're backdated. Someone with admin access created them 4 days ago and made them appear older. Gary's login, but Gary was in Chicago 4 days ago, which means someone used his passwords. Judith sat down across from him, maintaining her composure. Perhaps Gary's an idiot, but he's not this kind of idiot. This is sophisticated fraud, the kind that requires planning, patience, and a very personal motive. Michael leaned back. The kind a scorned wife might orchestrate. Your father doesn't even remember me, Michael. Why would I? Because he remembers her. And that's killing you, isn't it? The perfect wife, the devoted partner, forgotten, while the mistress remains. You knew about her. Michael had the grace to look uncomfortable. I suspected. Dad seemed different the last few years. Happier. I figured he'd eventually tell me. But not tell me. Look, Judith, I get it. You're hurt, but destroying Veronica won't make Dad remember you. No, but it will make him forget her. Michael's eyes widened at her admission. You can't be serious. Your father's brain made a choice, Michael. It kept what mattered and discarded what didn't. I'm simply helping him see that what he kept isn't worth keeping. That's insane. Is it? Your father was planning to leave me for her. He'd been moving money, setting up a new life. The accident just made the leaving easier. No messy divorce, no guilt, no having to face what he'd done. He gets to be the victim, confused and innocent, while I'm left with nothing. You have the house, the business, I have things, Michael. Objects. But 33 years of memories? Those died in that accident. Or maybe they were never real to begin with. Michael closed his laptop slowly. If I expose this, you'll go to prison. Maybe. But your father's reputation will be destroyed in the process. The scandal will ruin the business. And Veronica? She's already gone. She thinks your father has been cheating on her too. She won't be back. You're evil. I'm practical. Your father taught me that, actually. Don't get emotional, Judith. Be practical. Well, I'm being practical. He loves someone who doesn't exist anymore. The Veronica he remembers wouldn't steal from him, wouldn't abandon him. That Veronica is as dead as the wife he forgot. Michael stood to leave, then paused. My mother always said you were tougher than you looked. She said Dad had no idea who he'd really married. Your mother was a smart woman. She also said you'd outlast him, that underneath all that Midwest nice, you were steel. And I'm beginning to think she was right. He headed for the door. I won't expose you, Judith. Not because I care about you, but because Dad made his choices. He chose to cheat. He chose to lie. And his brain chose to forget you. Maybe that's punishment enough. Or maybe it's just the beginning. Michael left without another word. Judith sat in Thomas's office, her office now really, and looked at the photos on his desk. Their wedding photo had been pushed to the back, gathering dust, while a hidden folder in his drawer had contained dozens of pictures of Veronica. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. I know what you did. Meet me at Riverside Park, 8 p.m., or I go to the police, V. So Veronica hadn't run as far as Judith had hoped. No matter. She'd dealt with one problem. She could handle another. That evening, Judith arrived at the park to find Veronica waiting on a bench near the pond, looking haggard and paranoid. The confident young woman from the hospital was gone, replaced by someone hollow-eyed and desperate. Those photos were fake, Veronica said without preamble. I had a friend analyze them. Digital manipulation. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop lying! Veronica's voice cracked. You destroyed my life. Thomas was everything to me. Thomas was a fantasy. You were sleeping with a married man who promised to leave his wife. How many times has that story ended happily? He loved me. He loved the idea of you. Young, uncomplicated, making him feel vital again. But did he love you enough to actually leave? In 4 years, did he ever file for divorce? Veronica's silence was answer enough. I checked his calendar, Judith continued. All those times he said he was with you? Half of them he was somewhere else. Business trips that were really golf weekends. Late nights that ended at bars, not your apartment. You're lying. Am I? Judith pulled out a folder of receipts, credit card statements, phone records. All real this time. Look for yourself. The Riverside Inn, where he supposedly spent every Thursday with you? Check the dates against these receipts from the casino an hour away. The weekend trips you thought were your romantic getaways? He was at car shows, strip clubs, sports bars. Veronica's hands shook as she went through the papers. Each receipt was another crack in her perfect love story. But he said... He promised. He's a man who kept 2 women on strings for 4 years, Veronica. Did you really think you were special? I was special. He remembers me. Even with his brain damaged, he remembers me. He remembers a version of you. Young, eager, uncomplicated. But what happens when that memory meets reality? When he realizes you're 31, not 27 like when you met? When he sees you're human, flawed, capable of leaving him? I didn't want to leave. You made me. I showed you photos. You made the choice to run. Just like you made the choice to sleep with a married man. Just like Thomas made the choice to forget me. Veronica stood abruptly. I'm going to him. I'm going to tell him everything. Go ahead. Tell the man with traumatic brain injury that his memories are wrong, that the woman he doesn't remember is manipulating everyone. See how that sounds to the doctors, the police, his family, a desperate mistress trying to turn a confused patient against his legal wife. This isn't over. Yes, it is. You're going to leave town tonight. You're going to start over somewhere else, and you're going to be grateful I'm letting you go instead of pursuing the embezzlement charges. I didn't steal anything. The evidence says otherwise. Gary will testify to it. The forensic accountant I hired will confirm it. Your own computer, which I'm sure the police will find very interesting, will prove it. You planted. Prove it. Judith stood, smoothing her coat. You're a mistress who stole from her lover's company when you realized he'd never leave his wife. That's the story everyone will believe because it's the story that makes sense. The alternative, that a forgotten wife orchestrated an elaborate revenge, who would believe that? Veronica sank back onto the bench, defeated. What did I ever do to you? You existed. In his heart, in his mind, in the only memories that survived. You existed while I was erased. That's not my fault. No. But you're the one who pays for it, just like I'm paying for 33 years of devotion with obsolescence. Judith walked away, leaving Veronica sobbing on the bench. She felt no satisfaction, no joy, just a cold determination to finish what she'd started. Back at the hospital, she found Thomas more agitated than ever. He'd pulled out his IV and was trying to get dressed when she arrived. I'm leaving, he announced. I don't care what the doctors say. I need to find her. Thomas, you can barely walk. You have therapy sessions. I don't care. Ronnie needs me. She's out there alone thinking I betrayed her. Maybe you did betray her. Thomas froze. What? Maybe your brain forgot her betrayal, kept only the good memories. Maybe that's why she ran, because she knew when you fully recovered, you'd remember the truth. You're trying to confuse me. I'm trying to help you. Look. Judith pulled out her phone, showing him a fabricated text exchange between Veronica and someone named Derek. The police found these on her phone. She's been seeing someone else for months. Thomas stared at the messages, his face crumbling. They were perfectly crafted, casual at first, then intimate, then planning a future together. No, this isn't real. The timestamps, Thomas. Look at them. While you were at the office working late to afford her lifestyle, she was with him. But I remember she loved me. Memory is fallible, especially after trauma. The doctors said you might have idealized certain memories, made them better than they were. Thomas sank onto the bed, suddenly looking all of his 59 years. I don't know what's real anymore. I know this is hard, but I'm here. I know you don't remember me, but I'm here. Why? Why would you stay when I can't even remember your name? Judith sat beside him, carefully not touching. Because somewhere in that damaged brain is the man I married. The man I had child. She caught herself, remembering Thomas had forgotten their children too. The man I loved. Loved? Past tense? I don't know anymore, Thomas. How can I love someone who erased me so completely? For the first time since waking, Thomas really looked at her, studied her face, searching for something familiar. You have kind eyes, he said finally. Sad, but kind. 33 years of practice. Tell me about us. Maybe if I hear it. No. No? If you remember, it has to be real. Not because I told you stories, but because, somewhere inside, we mattered enough to survive. That night, Judith went home to find a package on her doorstep. Inside was a USB drive and a note in Veronica's handwriting. You win, but you should know who you really married. The USB contained videos. Thomas and Veronica, yes, but also Thomas with other women. 3 others at least over the years. Different ages, different looks, but all younger than Judith. All temporary. She watched them all, these windows into Thomas's secret life. In one, he was laughing with a blonde at a restaurant, while Judith had thought he was at a conference. In another, he was slow dancing with a brunette at what looked like a company party, but not his company. The final video was the worst. Thomas, drunk, talking to someone off camera, probably Veronica. Judith? She's like furniture, comfortable, reliable, always there. But passion, fire? That died years ago. Maybe it was never there. I married her because it was time, you know? My first wife left, I had a kid, I needed stability, and Judith was stable, safe, boring, but safe. Judith turned off the video, her hands steady even as her world tilted. 33 years of being furniture. Background to his real life. She picked up the phone and dialed Michael. "Changed your mind about confessing?" he asked without preamble. "Did you know about the others?" Silence. Then, what others? Not just Veronica. There were others. 3, at least. Michael sighed. "I suspected. Dad was never good at monogamy. Mom found out about his affairs, that's why she really left. And you never thought to tell me? Would you have believed me? Perfect Thomas, devoted husband, pillar of the community." "I was furniture, Michael." He actually said that, furniture. "Judith, I wasted 33 years on a man who saw me as furniture. You raised good kids. Sarah and David love you." "Sarah and David don't know their father has forgotten they exist. I can't tell them. How do I explain that their father's brain kept his mistresses but erased his children? He forgot them too? He forgot everything that mattered. Or maybe he kept everything that mattered, and we were never it." Michael was quiet for a moment. "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to finish what I started." He wants to forget? Fine. I'll help him forget everything, every woman, every betrayal, every lie, and then, when his mind is empty of all of them, I'll fill it with the truth. What truth? That he's alone. That everyone who supposedly loved him was using him. That the only person who ever truly cared was the wife he forgot. That's cruel. That's justice. The next morning, Judith arrived at the hospital with a new purpose. Thomas was in physical therapy, struggling to walk between parallel bars. His therapist, a young woman named Kelly, was encouraging him with the kind of perky enthusiasm that would have annoyed the old Thomas. "You're doing great, Mr. Coleman. Your wife must be so proud." Thomas glanced at Judith, confusion flickering across his face. "She's not. I don't—" "It's okay," Judith said softly. "One step at a time, in everything." After therapy, as Thomas rested, Judith began her final manipulation. The police called. They found Veronica. Thomas's eyes snapped open. "Where? Is she okay?" "She's in custody. In Nevada, with Derek Mitchell." "Who's Derek Mitchell?" "The man she's been seeing. The man she was planning to run away with, using the money she stole from you." "Stop! Just stop!" Thomas covered his face with his hands. "I can't hear any more lies about her." "Then maybe you're ready to hear the truth about yourself." "What?" Judith pulled out the USB drive. "Veronica left this. Videos, Thomas, of you with women, multiple women, over the years." "That's impossible. I would remember." "Would you? You don't remember me. You don't remember your children. Your memory is selective, keeping only what serves your narrative." She plugged the USB into the room's TV and played the first video. Thomas watched himself with a woman he didn't recognize, at a place he didn't remember, saying things he couldn't recall. "This isn't me." "That's your watch. The one I gave you for our 20th anniversary. That's your voice. That's your laugh. But I don't remember her. Her name was Linda. Your physical therapist from 5 years ago when you hurt your back." "How do you know that?" "Because unlike you, I remember everything. Every late night, every excuse, every time you came home smelling like someone else's perfume. If you knew, why did you stay?" "Because I loved you. Because I took vows. Because I thought if I was patient enough, good enough, you'd remember why you married me." "Why did I marry you?" Judith laughed, bitter and broken. "I used to wonder that myself. Now I know. You needed someone to manage your life while you lived it with others. That's not, I wouldn't—" "You did. For years. And your brain, when forced to choose what to keep, chose them. All of them. Except me." Thomas stared at the frozen video on the screen. "Turn it off." There's more. 3 more women. Want to see if you remember them? Turn it off. Judith clicked off the TV. The truth hurts, doesn't it? Imagine living with it for 33 years. Why are you doing this? Because you forgot me, Thomas. You forgot the one person who actually loved you, not your money, not what you could do for them, but you. And now you get to learn what it's like to realize everyone else was just using you. Ronnie loved me. Ronnie loved the apartment you paid for, the jewelry you bought, the promise of a future you were never going to deliver. You don't know that. I know you, even if you don't know me. You're a man who makes promises he can't keep, who believes his own lies, who convinces himself each affair is true love until the next one comes along. Thomas turned away from her, facing the window. Get out. I'm your medical proxy. I decide when I leave. I'll call the nurses. And tell them what? That your wife is telling you truths you don't want to hear? You're not my wife. My wife wouldn't be this cruel. Your wife spent 33 years being kind. Look where it got her. Erased. Judith stood to leave, then paused at the door. Physical therapy tomorrow at 10. Try to remember. That evening, Patricia came to Judith's house with wine and worry. The whole hospital is talking about it. Thomas had a breakdown after you left. He's demanding a different hospital, different doctors, demanding to see Veronica. He can demand all he wants. I control his care. Judith, this has to stop. You're torturing him. I'm showing him the truth. Your version of it. Is there another version? Did he not have affairs? Did he not plan to leave me? Did his brain not choose to forget me while remembering them? Patricia poured herself a large glass of wine. You've changed. These past 2 weeks you've become someone I don't recognize. Good. The person you knew was a doormat. She was my friend. She was pathetic. Judith, do you know what I found in his office? A draft email to his lawyer about divorce, dated 6 months ago. 6 months, Patty. He's been planning this for 6 months, and I was going to be blindsided. The accident just changed the timeline. So you decided to destroy him? I decided to show him what destruction feels like. And then what? When he's broken, alone, when everyone's gone, then what? Judith stared into her wine. Then I rebuild him, my way, create new memories, better ones, ones where I matter. That's not love, Judith. That's possession. After 33 years of being possessed, maybe it's my turn. Patricia set down her glass. I can't watch this anymore. What you're doing? It's wrong. Was it wrong when he... Yes, it was wrong when he did it, and it's wrong now. 2 wrongs don't... Make a right? Spare me the platitudes. Rights and wrongs are for people who haven't had their entire existence erased by someone they loved. Patricia stood to leave. The Judith I knew would never... The Judith you knew is dead. She died in that hospital room when her husband of 33 years looked right through her to his mistress. What's left is someone who understands that love is just another word for power, and I've been powerless long enough. After Patricia left, Judith sat in her empty house, surrounded by photos of a life Thomas couldn't remember. Tomorrow would be the final phase. She'd arranged for Gary to visit, to confirm the embezzlement. She'd had Michael's wife, Emma, prepare to testify about seeing Thomas with other women. She'd even contacted Linda, the physical therapist from the video, who agreed to come forward about their affair. One by one, she would strip away every good memory Thomas had, leaving him with nothing but the truth, that everyone he thought loved him had betrayed him. Everyone except the wife he couldn't remember. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Mrs. Coleman? This is Dr. Morrison. You need to come to the hospital immediately. Thomas has had another incident. What kind of incident? He's remembering things. Fragments, but they're causing extreme distress. He keeps asking for his children. Judith's heart stopped. He remembers Sarah and David? Not clearly. Just impressions. But Mrs. Coleman, he also remembered something else. He remembered the accident, and he's saying it wasn't an accident. What do you mean? He's claiming someone ran him off the road. Deliberately. He says he remembers a red car forcing him into the barrier. Judith's blood ran cold. She hadn't counted on this. If Thomas remembered the accident clearly, if there was an investigation. I'll be right there. As she drove to the hospital, her mind raced. A red car. Veronica drove a red Honda Civic. Had she? No, that was impossible, wasn't it? But as she pulled into the hospital parking lot, she saw it, Veronica's red Honda, parked in the visitor section. So she hadn't left town after all. And if Thomas's memory was returning, if Veronica was here, Judith's carefully constructed revenge was about to collapse, unless she could find a way to use this new development to her advantage. After all, if Thomas was right, if someone had tried to kill him, who would be the most likely suspect? The mistress who stood to gain nothing from his death? Or the wife who stood to inherit everything? She smiled coldly as she walked into the hospital. Let them come. Let them all come. She'd spent 33 years being underestimated. They had no idea what she was capable of. The fluorescent lights of Riverside General's conference room cast harsh shadows across the assembled faces. November 11th, nearly a month since Thomas had awakened with his selective memories. Judith sat at one end of the long table, her hands folded calmly while chaos erupted around her. This is insane! Veronica slammed her palm on the table. She tried to destroy my life, and you're all just sitting here. Miss Russo, please calm down, Detective Raymond Chen interrupted, his notepad open before him. We're trying to establish facts. Mr. Coleman claims someone deliberately ran him off the road. His description matches your vehicle. I was at work that day. Check the cameras, check my time card. We did. Detective Chen's partner, Officer Janet Brooks, pulled out a tablet. You clocked out at 2:47 p.m. The accident occurred at 4:15 p.m. That's enough time to... To what? Try to murder the man I love? Veronica's voice cracked. Why would I do that? Insurance, Michael said quietly from his seat beside his father. Dad recently increased his life insurance policy. The beneficiary was changed 6 months ago. All eyes turned to Thomas, who sat hunched in his wheelchair, looking older than his 59 years. His memories had been returning in fragments, painful, contradictory shards that left him more confused than ever. I changed it? Thomas rubbed his temples. To who? To Veronica Russo. Detective Chen read from his notes. $1.5 million. The room went silent. Veronica's face drained of color. I didn't know about that. Thomas, tell them I didn't know. Thomas looked at her with hollow eyes. I don't know what I told you. I can't remember clearly. Everything's mixed up. You loved me, you left me, you stole from me. I don't know what's real. I never stole anything. She planted that evidence. Veronica pointed at Judith. She's been manipulating everything since you woke up. That's a serious accusation, Detective Chen said. It's the truth. Ask her about the fake photos, the forged documents. What photos? Judith's voice was perfectly calm. What documents? The ones you sent me. The ones that made me think Thomas was cheating. Veronica stopped, realizing how it sounded. Officer Brooks leaned forward. So you're saying Mrs. Coleman sent you evidence of infidelity and you fled the state? Yes, but... Interesting. Because fleeing suggests guilt. And now you're back? Because I realized they were fake. Because I love him. Or because you heard he was recovering his memories, Michael interjected. Because you needed to control the narrative before he remembered you tried to kill him. This is insane! Veronica stood abruptly. Judith, tell them the truth. Tell them what you did. Judith met her gaze steadily. The truth is that my husband of 33 years woke up from a coma remembering only you. The truth is that evidence of embezzlement was found in your desk. The truth is that you disappeared when confronted, and now we learn about the insurance policy. You know that's not... What I know, Judith continued, is that I've spent every day at my husband's bedside, helping him recover, while you were nowhere to be found. Until now, when there's talk of inheritance and insurance. Dr. Morrison entered the room, looking uncomfortable. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Coleman needs to return to his room. This stress isn't good for his recovery. Just a few more questions, Detective Chen said. Mr. Coleman, the red car that ran you off the road, are you certain about that? Thomas closed his eyes, clearly struggling. I see it sometimes. In dreams, in flashes, a red car coming up fast on my left, then impact, then nothing. But you can't identify the driver? No, I just remember the color, red, like... He opened his eyes and looked at Veronica. Like your car. Thomas, please, Veronica whispered. You know I would never hurt you. I don't know anything anymore, Thomas said quietly. I thought I knew you. I thought I knew my life, but it's all fragments now, pieces that don't fit. Patricia, who had been silent in the corner, finally spoke up. There's something else you all should know. Everyone turned to her. I saw Judith's car that day, near the accident site, about an hour before it happened. The room went silent. Judith's composure finally cracked, just slightly. You're mistaken, Judith said. I don't think so. You drive a blue Toyota Camry, license plate ending in 847. I saw it parked at the scenic overlook on Highway 12. That's only 2 miles from where Thomas crashed. Detective Chen turned to Judith. Mrs. Coleman, can you explain that? For the first time since this nightmare began, Judith felt the walls closing in, but she'd come too far to falter now. I often go to that overlook when I need to think. It's peaceful there. And you needed to think that particular afternoon because I'd just found out about my husband's plans to leave me. Judith pulled out her phone, showing the email she'd discovered. This was in his drafts. Dated that morning. He was planning to divorce me and marry his mistress. Detective Chen read the email, then passed it to his partner. This could be considered motive. Motive for what? I didn't cause his accident. I was at the overlook, yes, crying in my car, trying to decide whether to confront him or just accept it. Then I went home. The police called me 2 hours later about the accident. Can anyone verify that? I live alone. My husband was with his mistress. So no one can verify it. Michael stood up. This is ridiculous. We're going in circles. Dad, what do you want? Really want? Thomas looked around the room, at Judith, the wife he couldn't remember but who'd stayed by his side, at Veronica, the woman he remembered loving but who might have tried to kill him, at Michael, the son he was only now beginning to recall. I want the truth, he said finally. All of it. No more lies, no more manipulation, just truth. Then let me tell you the truth, Judith said, standing. The truth is that you betrayed me for years, not just with Veronica, but with Linda, with Jennifer, with Melissa. The truth is that you were planning to leave me after 33 years, taking half of everything we'd built while giving me nothing but humiliation. Judith, Patricia warned. The truth is that when you woke up remembering only her, it confirmed what I'd always feared. I never mattered to you. I was convenient, stable, boring. Furniture, you called me in that video. Thomas flinched. I said that? While drunk, talking to her. Judith gestured at Veronica. The truth is that yes, I wanted to hurt you both. I wanted you to feel what it was like to be betrayed, abandoned, forgotten. So yes, I planted evidence. Yes, I sent those photos. Yes, I manipulated the situation. Gasps around the room. Detective Chen started writing furiously. But, Judith continued, I didn't try to kill you. That's the one thing I didn't do. Because despite everything, despite the affairs and lies and the ultimate insult of being erased from your memory, I loved you. God help me, I still love you. You're admitting to fraud, tampering with evidence, Detective Chen began. I'm admitting to being a woman scorned who did terrible things. Arrest me if you want, but I didn't try to kill my husband." "Then who did?" Michael demanded. Everyone looked at Veronica again. "It wasn't me," she protested. "I was driving to the airport that day. I was leaving town to visit my sister in Phoenix. I have the plane ticket." "Tickets can be bought and not used," Officer Brooks pointed out. "Check the flight manifest. Check the cameras at the airport." "We will," Detective Chen assured her. "But Miss Russo, you have to admit, the circumstances are exactly what Judith wanted you to think." Veronica turned to Thomas. "Don't you see? She's still manipulating everyone. She admits to framing me for embezzlement, but we're supposed to believe she didn't." She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes widening. "Oh my God." "What?" Thomas asked. "The insurance policy. You changed it 6 months ago?" "Apparently. But we've been together 4 years. Why would you suddenly change it 6 months ago unless—" She turned to Judith. "You knew. 6 months ago, you found out about us." Judith remained silent. "You found out, and you started planning. The evidence, the photos, making me look guilty. And the insurance policy? Thomas, did you even change it? Or did she?" "That's a serious accusation," Detective Chen said. "Mrs. Coleman, did you have access to your husband's insurance documents?" "We're married." "Of course I had access. Could you have changed the beneficiary without his knowledge?" "Theoretically? Yes, but I didn't." "She's lying," Veronica said. "Check the signature. Check the IP address of whoever made the change online." Detective Chen made more notes. "We'll investigate everything, but right now I need everyone to calm down." "How can I calm down?" Thomas suddenly shouted, startling everyone. "My brain is broken. I can't remember my wife, my children, my life. All I have are fragments, pieces that don't make sense. Someone tried to kill me, and I'm sitting in a room with the 2 people who had the most reason to want me dead." "Thomas," both women said simultaneously, then glared at each other. "No." He held up his hand. "I'm done. I'm done with both of you." He turned to Michael. "Take me back to my room. I can't do this anymore." As Michael wheeled him out, Thomas stopped at the door. "Detective, find out who did this, but know that whoever it was, they didn't succeed in killing me. They did something worse. They showed me that my entire life was a lie." After he left, the room remained tense. Detective Chen closed his notebook. "Both of you will need to come to the station for formal statements. Don't leave town." As everyone filed out, Patricia lingered with Judith. "Why?" she asked simply. "Why what?" "Why admit to the fraud but deny the attempted murder? If you were going to lie, why not lie about everything?" Judith looked at her oldest friend. "Because the fraud was about emotion. Revenge. Hurt. But murder? That's about money. And I never cared about the money." "But someone did." "Yes, someone did." That evening, alone in her house, Judith sat with a glass of wine and a photo album, their wedding album, which Thomas couldn't remember, their children's baby photos, which drew no recognition. 33 years of Christmas mornings, family vacations, anniversary dinners, all erased from his mind. Her phone rang. Unknown number. "Mrs. Coleman?" "This is Emma, Michael's wife." Judith sat up straighter. "Emma? What's wrong?" "I need to talk to you. About Michael, about the business. Can we meet?" "When?" "Now. The coffee shop on 3rd Street. It's important." An hour later, Judith sat across from her daughter-in-law, noting the nervous way Emma kept checking the door. "Michael doesn't know I'm here," Emma began. "What's this about?" "The insurance policy. I know who changed it." Judith's heart skipped. "Who?" "Michael." The revelation hit like cold water. "What?" "He has power of attorney for Thomas's business affairs, has had it for 2 years, since Thomas had that minor stroke. He never revoked it. Michael could access everything: insurance, bank accounts, investment portfolios. But why would Michael— "The business is failing, Judith. Has been for months. Thomas hid it well, but the debt is massive. Michael's been trying to save it, but... Emma pulled out a folder. Look at these. Financial documents, loan applications, bankruptcy paperwork. Coleman Plumbing was 3 months from insolvency. If Thomas died accidentally, Emma continued, the insurance would pay out to Veronica, yes, but as his son and business partner, Michael would control the company assets. He could use the confusion to restructure everything, save the business. You're saying Michael tried to kill his father? I'm saying Michael was desperate, and desperate people do terrible things. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I found something else. GPS records from Michael's car. He was on Highway 12 that day, 20 minutes before the accident. Judith stared at the evidence, her mind reeling. Michael drives a red Porsche, which could be mistaken for any red car in a traumatic moment. Emma, why are you telling me this? Because I'm scared. Because I think he might do something else. And because, despite everything, you're the only one who really loved Thomas. I need to call the police. No. Emma grabbed her hand. Not yet. I need to get our children somewhere safe first. Michael, he's not the man I married anymore. The financial pressure, his father's betrayals, the family dysfunction, it's changed him. When? Tomorrow. Give me until tomorrow to get the kids to my mother's. Then do whatever you need to do. After Emma left, Judith sat in her car, processing this new revelation. Michael, the son who'd seemed so protective of his father. Michael, who'd known about the affairs but said nothing. Michael, who stood to lose everything if the business collapsed. She drove to the hospital, finding Thomas alone in his room, staring at the ceiling. Couldn't sleep either? He asked without looking at her. No, I remember something. About you. Judith's breath caught. What? Yellow roses. You carried yellow roses at our wedding. Tears sprang to her eyes. Yes. Yes, I did. They're coming back, the memories. In pieces, fragments. I remember, a blue dress you wore, dancing in the kitchen, laughing at something, I can't remember what. It's a start. Is it? Because I also remember the affairs. Linda, especially. I remember the guilt, the lies, the way you'd look at me sometimes like you knew but wouldn't say anything. I was afraid? Of what? Of losing you. Ironic, isn't it? I lost you anyway. Thomas finally looked at her. The things you did, the fraud, the manipulation, were wrong. I know that. I was so angry, so hurt. When you looked right through me to her, something broke inside me. I understand anger, but Judith, if you tried to kill me, I didn't. Someone did. Yes, someone did. They sat in silence for a moment, then Thomas spoke again. I remembered our children today, Sarah and David. They live in Portland and Chicago. Yes. Do they know? About my memory? No, I couldn't tell them their father forgot they existed. You protected them from that pain. They're our children. Whatever happened between us, they didn't deserve to suffer. You always protected everyone, even me in your twisted way. The revenge, it was protection too, wasn't it? Protecting yourself from more pain? Maybe... Judith, who do you think did it? Really? She thought about Emma's revelation, about Michael's desperation, but looking at Thomas, broken and confused, she couldn't add patricide to his burdens. I don't know, she lied. I'm scared, Thomas admitted, not of dying. Of living with all these broken pieces that don't fit together. Of not knowing who to trust, who loved me, who used me. I loved you, Judith said quietly. Through everything, I loved you. That's why it hurt so much when you forgot me. But you don't love me now. I don't know the man you are now. You're not the Thomas I married, not the Thomas who betrayed me, not the Thomas who forgot me. You're someone new, built from fragments. Maybe that's better. Maybe we both needed to be broken to become something different. Before Judith could respond, alarms started blaring. Thomas's monitors were going crazy, his heart rate spiking, his breathing labored. "Thomas!" He clutched his chest, gasping, "Can't breathe!" Nurses rushed in, pushing Judith aside. Dr. Morrison appeared, barking orders. "He's having another cardiac event. Get the crash cart." As they worked on Thomas, Judith saw something that made her blood run cold. A syringe on the floor by his IV port. Someone had been in the room. Someone had injected something into his IV. She grabbed Dr. Morrison. "Test his blood!" Someone put something in his IV exclamation mark. "What?" "Just do it!" As the medical team stabilized Thomas, Judith ran into the hallway. Security footage would show who'd been in the room, but she already knew. The desperation, the timing, the access. Michael stood at the end of the hallway, watching the chaos. Their eyes met, and in that moment, she saw the truth. He knew that she knew. "You couldn't wait," she said, approaching him. "Emma's taking the kids away, isn't she? And you needed the insurance money before she filed for divorce." "I don't know what you're talking about. The business is failing. Emma told me everything. You tried once on the highway, and now—" "Prove it." "The cameras will—" Michael smiled coldly. "The cameras show me visiting my father, bringing him water, being a dutiful son. The syringe—" "What syringe?" "I don't see any syringe." Judith looked back. The syringe was gone. In the chaos, someone had removed it. "You won't get away with this." "I'm not getting away with anything. My father is having complications from his traumatic brain injury. It's unfortunate, but not unexpected." He leaned closer. "You taught me well, Judith. Create a narrative, control the evidence, manipulate the situation. You showed me how to destroy someone while looking innocent." "Thomas is your father." "Thomas is a man who destroyed our family with his affairs, who was about to destroy the business with his midlife crisis, who forgot his own children existed. You said it yourself, that Thomas is already dead." "I was wrong. He's remembering. He's trying." Too late. Security arrived along with Detective Chen, who'd been called about the medical emergency. Judith pointed at Michael. "He tried to kill Thomas." "Check the cameras, check Dash." "Mrs. Coleman, please calm down," Detective Chen said. "I am calm. Michael injected something into Thomas's IV. He's trying to kill him for the insurance money." Michael's expression was perfectly concerned. "Detective, my stepmother has been under tremendous stress. The fraud charges, the attempted murder investigation. I think she's having a breakdown." "I'm not having a breakdown. Emma told me everything. The business is failing. Michael has power of attorney. He changed the insurance beneficiary to frame Veronica." "These are serious accusations," Detective Chen said. "Do you have proof?" "Emma? Call Emma." Michael pulled out his phone, dialing. "Em, can you come to the hospital? Judith is having some kind of episode." He paused, listening. "What do you mean? Who is this?" "It's me, honey. Your husband." Another pause. "What dinner with your mother?" "You're right here in town." He lowered the phone, looking confused. She hung up. "She's protecting the children," Judith said desperately. "She knows what you did." "Detective," Michael said calmly, "my wife has been visiting her mother in Denver for 3 days. I can show you her social media posts. I think Judith is confused." Detective Chen looked between them, clearly trying to assess the situation. "Let's all calm down. The medical team is treating Mr. Coleman. We'll investigate everything." "There's no time." Judith grabbed his arm. "Michael will destroy evidence, create alibis." "Like you did?" Michael asked quietly. "When you framed Veronica? When you manipulated my father's medical care?" The detective's expression hardened. "Mrs. Coleman, I'm going to need you to come with me." "You're arresting me?" "He's the one who—" "You've already admitted to fraud, and now you're making accusations without proof. For everyone's safety, including yours, you need to come with me." As Detective Chen led her away, Judith looked back at Michael. He stood there, the concerned son, the grieving family member. He'd learned from watching her, learned how to destroy someone while playing the victim. In the police car, Judith thought about karma, about justice, about the price of revenge. She'd started this game, teaching everyone around her that love was war and marriage was strategy. Now her student had surpassed the teacher. But the game wasn't over. Thomas was still alive. Emma was out there with proof, and Judith had spent 33 years being underestimated. She smiled grimly. They thought they knew her, the betrayed wife who'd snapped, the woman who'd gone too far. They had no idea that everything she'd done, every manipulation, every lie, had been calculated, including getting arrested, because now, with her in custody, Michael would feel safe. He'd make mistakes, and Emma, brave Emma, would be free to act. The real game was just beginning. At the hospital, Thomas fought for his life while machines breathed for him. In his drug-hazed mind, memories swirled. Judith in a yellow dress, Veronica laughing, Michael as a boy, Sarah's first steps, David's graduation, affairs he regretted, promises he'd broken, love he'd wasted. And through it all, one thought persisted. Someone wanted him dead. Someone he loved wanted him dead. The question was no longer who. The question was whether he wanted to live badly enough to fight back. As dawn broke over Riverside, 3 women waited in different places. Judith in a holding cell, Veronica in a motel room, and Emma in a car with 2 sleeping children, all waiting for news about a man who'd loved them all badly and been loved too well in return. The price of love, they were learning, was higher than any of them had imagined, and someone was still going to pay.